Now, here's something neat that Illustrator will do for you. I'm just going to give myself yet again some more space to work in here. Rather than using the brush tool and my brushes palette together, what I can do is use regular old Illustrator objects here. For example, a rounded rectangle or the star or whatever you'd like. And I can draw them out here and then go over to my brushes palette and begin applying some of these different calligraphy brushes here to a regular vector object. And if you want to zoom in a little bit more to see the effect there, it's almost like someone's taken a calligraphy pen and traced out this shape here. So again, you might want to consider using these if you want more of an artistic effect here on some of your different objects. Now, that being said, here's a few other things that you can do. You can take any of your brushes here in your brushes palette. And by the way, we haven't talked about these other guys yet. These guys are artistic brushes. We'll get to them in just a moment. We can take any of our calligraphy brushes across the top here. I'm going to double click on this guy here. And that brings us into our brush options dialog box. Now, this dialog box is where the stylus really shines here. So if you do have a drawing stylus, here's where things get fun. But let's assume just for a second that you only have the mouse. So no big deal if you do just have a mouse. So first of all, I have the name of the brush there, 3-point flat. What I can do is come in and adjust the angle of the brush, the roundness of the brush, and also the diameter of the brush. Now, you can do this numerically if you wish, or what you can do is come up to this little brush thumbnail here and just start clicking and dragging. See, there's my roundness there. You can see my roundness value changing. I can change my angle just by dragging on this guy here. Maybe I'll make it a negative value here somehow. So you can use hard values if you like, or you can click inside this little area here and adjust your brush options. And as I was fiddling around with my options there, in the background you saw that my star was updating. That's because I have my preview turned on underneath my cancel button here. So I can turn that on and shut it off depending on what I'm after here. Now, like I say, if you do have a drawing stylus, here's where things get fun. Underneath each of my pull-down menus here, I can come in here and set pressure. So, in other words, the angle is determined by a certain amount of pressure that I apply to my drawing stylus. So I can specify my variation here. I could come into roundness, for example, and my roundness could be determined by pressure as well. And also my diameter. My diameter could be determined by pressure. I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. I'm going to crank up my diameter just a little bit here. Just a little bit. Boy, that was a lot. Let's drag that down just a little bit more there. There, something a little bit more like that. And I'll increase my variation. Now, the variation cannot go higher than my diameter. In other words, 21 points, that's as wide as I can go here. That's as thick as my line is going to get. But I'll make my variation go all the way down to 10 point here, and then I'll click on OK. Now, you're going to get this dialog box here. The reason why I'm getting this is because I have this brush in use already in my artwork. So I can say apply to those existing pieces of artwork or leave them alone. I'm going to click on apply here. There's my big fat star there. I'll zoom out just a little bit. And I'm going to go back to my brush tool here. Actually, I'm even going to delete my star. I don't really need that. I'll go back to my brush tool just by hitting the B key on my keyboard. And now what I'm going to do, this is where things get interesting here, is with my stylus here, I'm going to press down hard and then ease up a little bit on it. See that how that's happening there? I'll press down hard and then ease up on it. Little refresh issue there. I'll press down hard. See how that's working there? Let me do that one more time here. I'll press down pretty hard. It's almost like using realistic media here. It's pretty awesome stuff. And yet again, I will say this, experiment on your own, fiddle around, play around, and see what you can come up with here. And once again, just to remind you, to get in there, we double-clicked on the brush that we wanted to affect, came in here and began fiddling around with the options. If you do have a drawing stylus available, try playing around with these different pressure settings here to get some different artistic effects. Okay, one final thing I'll show you here. I'm going to go back and grab my star tool here and draw a regular old Illustrator shape. And I'll apply a brush to it. Now sometimes you'll have these different shapes here, whether it's paths that you've dragged out using the brush tool or maybe a shape like this that has a brush applied to it. There may be times where you want to remove this brush effect from the shape or the path that you've drawn. And it's actually very, very easy to do. In the bottom of the brushes palette, there's a button there, Remove Brush Stroke. So I can click on that, and that essentially strips away or takes away the brush stroke and takes me all the way back to just a regular Illustrator stroke. So one more time, mine's grayed out right now, but the Remove Brush Stroke button at the bottom of the brushes palette. Keep that guy in mind there.